Hi everyone, welcome to our community pulse session. I'm joined today by Margaret Onah, who is the Executive Director at Safehaven Development Initiative, an NGO which is based in Nigeria that provides support services to vulnerable women, girls and communities by educating them on issues relating to health and human rights. In line with our monthly theme of women's rights, she's joining us today to discuss the issue of FGM, or female genital mutilation, in Nigeria. So, hi Margaret, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time.
Oh.
And I'm happy that at last we are able to do this today.
Yeah. Yes, we had a bit of a availability issue, haven't we? So yeah, finally, glad we can have this conversation. So please, can you tell us about yourself and your background and how you got into this field of work?
Yeah. My name is Margaret Onah. I have, in 2004, that's when I actually started the Safehaven Development Initiative. I'm a medical laboratory scientist by profession, a microbiologist, and I've been working on gender violence issues for the past 15 years. I actually started as a volunteer with some organizations in 2004. Organizations like Baobab for Women Human Rights, Project Alert on Violence Against Women. It was while I was at Project Alert on Violence Against Women, I had the privilege of doing a research on a knowledge, attitude, and practice of HIV by vulnerable groups, by UNIFEM then, now UN Women. They were working with Project Alert on Violence Against Women. And I was sent to the brothel to go and minister questionnaires to sex workers. And when I got to the brothel to do that, I discovered that the girls that were in sex work, they were so young, and I was worried about that. And I went back to the office to report to my program officer that the girls I saw there, I don't think they were sex workers, that they were too young to be in sex work. And she was laughing at me and said, no, those girls were really the girls in sex work, that I should go back. So I went back with my questionnaires and I called one of them, and she went and called the others, 20 of them, and I now administer my questionnaires to them. And after I finished, I became worried about their situation because I felt they were supposed to be in school at that age.
Yeah.
And here they were doing sex work. And I asked them if they find somebody to bring them out of sex work for an alternative means of livelihood, if they would be interested in that. And they said yes, that they will be interested in that. And that was how Safehaven Development Initiative originated.
That's lovely. Thanks, Margaret. I think that's such a horrible reality, isn't it, for girls who should be in education or, playing and having fun. The reality is that they're forced to be in those situations, and it's so lovely and moving that your experience has helped so many girls get out of those situations. It's so inspiring. So thanks so much for the work that you do for your community. So, what is FGM and why does it exist?
FGM is the total or partial removal of the external female genitalia, the clitoris. I always like to let people know, not just saying that it's removal of any organ. Let us know the name of the organ that is being removed. so that people will know what we are talking about. So the removal of the clitoris of the woman's vagina for no medical reasons at all. And in Nigeria, FGM is done because it is a culture, it is a tradition of the communities where it is being done. And the reason why it is being done is because they want to please the men. They feel that the clitoris will make the woman to be promiscuous, that she's not going to be faithful to her husband. She's going to have the sexual pleasure. And once she experiences sexual pleasure, she's not going to be faithful to her husband. She's going to go to meet with other men. And so for that reason, they decided that it has to be cut off. There's no medical reasons, no medical benefits. Rather, there are so many hazards associated with it. That is what is female genital mutilation, or female genital cutting, or female circumcision. There are different types. We have the type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. And different types are done in different parts of Nigeria. The type 1 is a removal of the labia minora with the clitoris. The type 2 is a removal of both the labia minora, the labia majora, and the clitoris together. That's the type 2. And it is called clitoridectomy, while type 1 is called excision. Type 3 is called infibulation. The infibulation is the removal of the labia minora, labia majora, the clitoris, and sewing the hole of the vagina with a needle, leaving a very small hole for the girl to be able to pass out menses, that is the flow of the blood for the menstrual session, or for her to be able to urinate. While the type 4 is whereby they will boil hot water and use the napkin and put in that water and press the clitoris of the girl child when the child is born. In many homes, when you go around, when a new child is born, a girl child is born, they will use that towel, put it in very hot water, and press the clitoris. All they're trying to do is to deaden it so that it will not be effective. And it's common in different parts of Nigeria. Another one they do is that they will use a needle and prick the mouth of the clitoris. All they're trying to do is to deaden the clitoris so that it will not be effective. Those are the different types of FGM that is practiced. In Nigeria, the common types of FGM is the clitoridectomy. The clitoridectomy is practiced in the southwest, south-south, southeast of Nigeria, while the excision is practiced in the northeast of Nigeria. And the type 4, which they use the napkin and put in hot water to press the clitoris, is practiced in the southeast. Imo State does that. Then the one that they use the needle to prick is done somewhere around Cross River in the south of Nigeria. That's what is being practiced in Nigeria. And all this, none of it has any health benefits at all. They are all associated with health hazards. And why are they doing it? To deaden the clitoris so that the woman does not have sexual pleasure. Not to allow her to go around, according to them, because it is a myth, that because the clitoris is removed, then the woman is not going to go around. Or because it is not removed, she's going to go around. I disagree with them. And I tell them in every community I go to that they are wrong, that it is just a myth. And the hazards associated with female circumcision, like the instruments that they use in doing it. You know, when they're trying to do it, they don't do it just for one person. They're going to use that instrument for several girls. And when they cut those girls, like in the Southwest now, a family is dedicated to circumcising girls in the whole community. So you can imagine when the day that they want to do it, so many people are involved, and they're using just that instrument to be cutting so many girls. In the South, the same thing is done. In the South, they have what is known as fattening room. When those girls are being circumcised, they are all put in one room with just one instrument they are using. They are not even sterilizing those instruments. And they keep them there because in the South, it is ceremonial. Most of them are being circumcised when they're about to be married. And so, as a result of that, those girls are there. Some of them will develop sepsis on the clitoris, on the mouth of the clitoris. They have sores. You know, when you go to their houses, you see some of them have been there with sores on their vagina. Some of them will bleed. They bleed so much because the health centers are not close by, whereby you can easily run with them to say that, okay, they will have treatment and all that. Sometimes they use the local herbs to apply on it. And we see that most of those girls are dying. There were cases where some women had pulses coming out of their vagina for a long time, and their houses are stigmatized. And I've said, in that house there's a woman there that has a pus coming out of her vagina, so don't go there. You know, that lady is stigmatized, that family is stigmatized. And another thing is that because the parents of the girl who is to be circumcised, if their daughter is not being circumcised, the woman is being stigmatized. She cannot talk in the public. So she has an issue there. Maybe she doesn't have money to do the ceremony, because in that ceremony, they exchange a lot of gifts. Mm-hmm. And so all these reasons, which are not of any benefit to the girl child who is undergoing this FGM, they are all there. Those are things we look at. And we try to tell them that there are myths that must, telling them that when they are circumcised, that they are not going to go around men and all that. We told them it's not true, because so many girls are not circumcised, and they have seen that they are not wayward, they are not promiscuous, they are very faithful to their partners. So that's it.
Wow, that's totally blown me away. It just seems so wrong and so unjust that, like you say, it's a myth. You said yourself, people choose whether they're going to be faithful or whatever, and if they're happy in the situation that they're in. It's not because of an organ on your body that makes you do other things, so that is absolutely crazy. And what you said about it as well, families or households being stigmatized based on getting an infection or something, that's not because they're a bad person. It's because these the FGM, these operations, they're happening in really unsanitary circumstances. Like you say, they use the same instrument. That's biological. If you're not going to clean or take the device or whatever it is, then this is inevitable. But it's got no reflection on that girl or that household or that family. So I suppose when you go and educate the communities and tell them, no, this is wrong, you're thinking it wrong and it needs to stop, what has been the response of, say, the male of the house or the community in general?
Yeah, I have come to realize that a lot of civil society organizations, the approach of going to the community to pass this message matters. Mm-hmm. When you go to the community and just come like, I have the knowledge to tell you that you should stop FGM, they are resistant to you. They feel, no, we too have knowledge. You don't just come here and throw your knowledge at us. So we came up with we have a basic human rights education at the grassroots, whereby every quarter we go to communities. When we go to communities, we go with the mindset of we want to learn from the community what they know about FGM. We want to share knowledge with the community. We are not here to come and pass judgments on you that what you're doing is wrong. It is your tradition, it is your culture. A lot of people don't even know why they are doing it, but because their parents and great-grandparents were involved in it, they feel it's something they should continue with.
Mm-hmm.
So we ask them, let them tell us why they are doing FGM on their daughters. You see, they will come with eagerness, they want to express what their tradition is about, and how dare you come to tell us, no, you don't need to tell us that. We said, fine. They will tell us what they know about FGM. We too will tell them what we know about FGM. In the process of asking questions, we saw that there are some things they don't know about what we know. And so by the time we tell them that this and this and these are some of the things that you don't know that are the causes of this FGM you're doing, then we ask them, do you experience these things we are telling you? They say yes. But we thought that they are maybe the gods of the land are angry with the family that bleeds, the child bleeds so much because the God is angry with that family. That's why their daughter is bleeding so much. They say that maybe that girl, the wound of where the clitoris was cut did not heal, maybe because the gods are angry. Maybe that girl died because the father or mother, some grandparents have done something. That is why that child died. There were so many people that were circumcised on that day. Why was it only that child that died? That's their own, that's what they say. And we now come to explain to them that the clitoris, the vein in the clitoris is very, very sensitive. And when it is cut, the way they do it, you know, very sharp object that they use in cutting it, definitely because the network of that vein is very concentrated. Yes, the child is going to bleed. And if the correlation factor of that girl is not high, then she's going to bleed so much that can result to death. If the instrument that is used is infected, because we don't know where all the other girls have gone to, and because it's not sterilized, infection develops on it. And so it results to a wound that will not heal on time. And so that girl is going to die. Sepsis will, be on it. Then we tell them the effects of the clitoris. The clitoris helps the woman in childbirth to deliver smoothly. We ask them, have you had cases of women who were pregnant and were in labor for a very long time, and they were not able to deliver 2 days, 3 days, 4 days after they were still in labor as a result of the clitoris not being there? But a woman that has a clitoris, as she goes into labor, she delivers very quickly. They were like, we had those experiences, but we didn't know what was the cause of it. And we tell them that the absence of the clitoris, because you have cut it off, makes it, we use our fingers to describe. It's like you have 5 fingers. And in the time of delivery, it expands. That is, the vagina expands. And when the clitoris is removed now, which is supposed to help the vagina to expand, it's not there to help it. And it's like something is hitting on the storm. Can it expand? It cannot. And the men were like, wow, is that what happens? We say, yes, that's what happens. That's why the woman stays in labor for 24 hours, 48 hours, even some 1 week. The child becomes weak, the mother becomes weak. Either the child dies or the mother dies, or both of them will die. You're like, wow, they didn't know that's the reason why. So knowledge is important. So by the time they get this knowledge, the men were like, no, we don't want our daughters to go through this. Another thing we try to let them see is that the function of the clitoris in sex acts. You see, the act of sex is in the vagina and the vagina is hidden. And people don't want to talk about sex openly. But for you to make FGM to be communicated, for people to understand, we must introduce the act of sex. Men want to have sex, but they don't want to discuss it. Women are shy. A lot of women do not have sexual pleasure because they don't have the clitoris there. And they are all there in the communities. In fact, in one of the communities we went to, the chief, the traditional leader there, stood up. Excuse me. He said, Margaret, our women don't experience sexual pleasure. So what are we going to do? I said, it is your fault. You don't discuss sexual acts with your wife. There's no communication. If there's communication, sex is in the mind. If you discuss with your wife the other parts of her body that responds to sexual stimulus, you will be able to get it. Then because you're not discussing with her, the clitoris has been removed. That is the major organ that makes her to have sexual pleasure. So she's not responding to you. And what do? Then I said, you have to tell us what we have to do so that our women will start responding. So the men now become interested. You're talking about sex. Once you're talking about sex, everybody wants to know, oh, sexual pleasure. I told them, sexual pleasure is a fundamental human right of both males and females. So you don't come and tell me that only the man has the right to demand for sex from the wife or from his partner. I said the women to have the right to demand for it. So why are you making it look as if women, if you ask your husband for sex, oh my God, you have to go to jail. Yes, for men, if their wives tell them that they want to have sex, they're like, she's a promiscuous woman, she's going around having sex with other men. That's why she had the boldness to come and ask me, a man, for sex. Because for them, FGM is a patriarchal thing. It's to please the man. Mm-hmm. The man is the one that owns sex. So he's the one that can demand, you woman, you can't. And I said to the women, no, you have a right to, it is your fundamental human right to have pleasure in sex. And you demand it from your husband. Is that not your husband? You want to go meet another man? If you go meet another man, they'll say you're wayward. And what they're trying to say now will happen, that you're promiscuous. Your husband is your own. So you demand it from him. So when we tell the men like that, the men will like, oh my God, we didn't know that the women too have a right to sexual pleasure and they can too ask for sex. I say, why not? We are all human beings. God has given us that part of the body that you man, you have your rights, women, you have your rights. So you are doing FGM on our women, you are violating their human rights. And we disagree with that. And so the men now, they were like, oh, their daughters. You see, men, they love their daughters and they want to keep their daughters. But someone else's daughter who is coming to marry them, they want her to be caught. But because they don't know the implication of cutting it. So by the time we begin to explain these things to them, they are like, oh, they never knew. They never knew. So we now have this, our human rights basic training in every community. We are going to train like 50 participants at a time. And we say to them, for each person, get 20 participants for yourself. Get their names, get their telephone numbers, get their addresses. You're going to send a text message to each of them explaining what FGM is to them. We are sending the messages to you and you send it to all your contacts. When you send to your contacts, some of them have never received messages from somebody else and they are excited. You know the community how it is in the villages. Oh, somebody sent me a message and then you call the person or he calls the person back. Oh, I got a message from you talking about FGM. Please, I want to know more about it. You go to that person, you and your colleagues that have been trained. We have a t-shirt that says stop female circumcision. And they see it. Oh my God, they're interested. They want to know more. As you go and begin to tell them, they're like, wow, we didn't know this. We want to be part of it. So imagine 50 people, one person has 20 participants to communicate issues on FGM2. That's about 1,000, isn't it? When that is done, they have more people coming to join them. They have age grades in the villages, and they have their meetings at different times of the month. You will decide that I want to go to my age grade. Come and join me, let's go and sensitize them. We go to them, by the time we sensitize them, somebody will like, this thing is new knowledge. They are interested in it. And so a lot of people will come together now. They now have heard the messages. They are ready to work with you. And they're like, yes. The community chiefs, oh my God, a lot of them are happy. If you go to the communities and call my name, it's as if I'm living with them because they are getting the messages. And they begin to call women, market women, different groups of women. We build their capacities. By the time we finish building their capacities like this, the communities are eager to declare openly that they don't want to do it anymore. In one of those communities we went to, a lady stood up and said, you know, this thing is ceremonial. We like this exchange of gifts that we receive when our daughters are circumcised. But now we know the health hazards. We are not going to cut them anymore, but we still want to do our ceremonies. We said, fine, we like that. He said, let's redefine the culture. I said, yeah, why not? We now call it alternative rites of passage without the courts. Alternative rites of passage without the courts. And in 2009, we now organized the first alternative rites of passage ceremony without the courts. About 40 girls in the community in Karasi, the local governments of Cross River State. The whole community came together. They were kept in their fattening room for 2 weeks. We trained them on sexual and reproductive health for 5 days. And they prepared food. Everybody came out. The women came to dance to celebrate their daughters. And they were wearing their different kinds of dresses with beads to show that these ones are not going to be circumcised. And every year, that community, they've been doing that. But we looked at it that we don't have to wait for the whole communities to come out at once to do it. If individual families want to do the alternative rites of passage ceremony, why not? It's okay. So any family who feels the daughter is of age and ought to be caught, and it's not going to be caught, let them do the ceremony and invite people to come to their houses. And it's been going on that way, and it's been working for them. So, and so many communities, about 15 communities have now openly declared that they don't want to do FGM anymore in Cross River State, South Nigeria.
Wow, Margaret, that is so, that's so inspiring, to see the journey from these practices happening, then, to you going in and talking. And I think it's so important. That's, NGOs are so important because you're working with the community, understanding their culture, but at the same time giving the information that's crucial to why the FGM shouldn't take place in the first place. And then now you've turned it into, let's work together, let's stop this is harmful. And now you've got the rite of passage ceremony, which sounds like a wonderful event, which is actually what they wanted to do, which was celebrating their daughters and those in the communities without the harm and the risk. So that's so moving. And wow, I just can't even believe you've organized this whole thing. It's so inspiring. I guess something else that I wanted to know was, how has COVID-19 affected the situation in Nigeria?
It's the pandemic really affected everything globally, and Nigeria was not left out. Our work has really, really been greatly affected. We could not get fundings. We could not go to communities how we used to go. Everything was restricted. Students were not going to school anymore. They were at home. You know that because they were at home, normally when they go to school, those children, they run away from home. But because they were at home during COVID, their parents were beginning to cut them. They had access to them to begin to cut them. And they were calling me that they were cutting them. They didn't know anywhere to run to. We work also with the governments. At the local governments, we have a desk where you can call anytime in case any of this was happening. But because of the restrictions in movement, the local government and the person there could not go to rescue anybody. So it was a huge challenge. So many girls were caught during the COVID. So many. And we didn't have funding at all throughout the whole year. Funding was so restricted, to move around. It wasn't easy. There were too many complications. There was a girl, she was circumcised, she was pregnant, she had the baby, she had the set of twins, and she died 2 weeks after those children were born. So there were so many girls that were caught during the COVID, pandemic last year. It wasn't fun at all. It was very, very serious. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's so hard to hear from the story that you just said about how much progress you've done, and then the pandemic's hit, and it's almost back to square one in a way, isn't it? Which is
exactly
so sad. Yeah, I mean, have schools reopened now in Nigeria or not really?
Yeah, schools are not really. Schools resume, but they don't go to school every day. Different classes go to school maybe twice in a week. In another class, we go maybe once in a week. They're just trying to arrange it so that all the students won't go to school at the same time. So school is not as it used to be. Yeah, it's not at all. It's not. Businesses of a lot of people affected. So things have not really balanced at all in Nigeria. In the communities, it has not been easy. And the people did not really understand what this COVID issue, they were talking about social distancing, washing of hands. They were still doing their burial and all their marriages and things, hugging themselves and doing those things. They didn't really have that, what are we talking about COVID? A lot of people in the villages are still like, what's this COVID? But now they are beginning to understand it because the death rate at the time started increasing, moving from state to state. So people are beginning to know. So there's more awareness around COVID-19, and people are beginning to work towards ensuring that protection, is maintained. And in some states, the death rate has actually reduced, and people are going about their normal duties now again.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, nobody predicted that this pandemic would happen, but I think it's made situations that were already bad so much worse because, for example, like you say, children often go to school to sort of run away from some of the home issues, and now they don't have that safe place to go, and there's no one to watch over them to make sure that they're safe. I suppose it's great that the community are now, understanding more about FGM and as well as understanding about COVID. So hopefully, the situation gets better in time. My question is, what does Safehaven International have planned for this year in terms of being there for the children or women, despite the COVID situation still being around?
Well, whatever we are going to do depends on fundings that we have on hand. We have offices in Cross River, we have offices again in Lagos State. And to move around, we need fundings to be able to move. Like I said, we have not been able to have funding since last year. The most of the fundings we have were fundings to be able to do things in the media. We have radio programs whereby we go on air, sensitizing people, making them to realize that we are still working and that FGM must stop. The Global Media Campaign to end FGM in England quarterly gives us funding to be able to do our radio programs. And that's just the main thing we have been doing since this year. We haven't really done much. We are trying to develop proposals to some other places, like Amplified Changes to be one of our major funders. And since last year, we've not gotten any funding, but we hope that this year we're going to get some fundings from them. And fund is really it. Funding. Without funding, we can't move. Without funding, we can't move. So fund is our challenge. If we have funds, we'll be able to go. We'll be able to go back to communities as we used to do, because there's movement now, so we can move, we can go there. But with our ambassadors at the community, because we have ambassadors in every community, people that we have trained, we have committees against harmful traditional practices in every community. Those people are on ground. So what we have been trying to do is we keep telling them to keep having their meetings, their regular meetings at the community levels there, to keep going to sensitize people, to keep going to where they have age grade meetings, to still keep talking to them, until we have enough funding to be able to come and give them another refresher trainings to continue with the work. For now, that's the way we are working. Yeah, we have social media that, you know, we send messages to them, and if there's critical cases, we alert our desk at the government, at the local government, where we have a gender desk, and we tell them to take action, to go to the communities to see how they can help them out. That's just the things we are really doing for now.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the situation is really difficult, especially when, you know, you can move to go visit people. So I think what you're doing is still amazing in terms of continuing to spread the message. And I hope, you know, this session that we're going to put online shortly is going to spread your goals and your aims, and hopefully, you know, help you in getting more international support, so that, yeah, we can continue with this fight against FGM and harm to girl child and women. So thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to share, or?
Yes, still on FGM, I am a voice to ensure that FGM stops globally. And I'm available anytime, any day, in any community where FGM is practiced. I want to be there to let the men know, because FGM is done because of men, that you don't need FGM as men for your life to be better. That if they will allow women to have their fundamental rights of sexual pleasure as them, we'll have a better world. Women don't need to go through that pain. A lot of women who have been circumcised globally are very sad women because they don't have sexual pleasure. They are not fulfilled sexually. I think the men should give us a chance. And I'm inviting more men to come on this campaign. In fact, for my Easter event, I'm trying to have a radio program whereby I want only men to call in. And I want to ask them whether they are supporting my campaign. If you're supporting my campaign, I'm going to give you a t-shirt that says "Stop FGM" by men. And you take a selfie of yourself and put it on our Twitter page. So I want to mobilize more men to support us to stop FGM, because people listen to men more. So we want the men themselves to say that this thing has to stop in their communities. If more men come into this campaign, I believe that FGM is going to stop by the year 2030. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Margaret. So yes, everybody, get in touch with Margaret, share this video, and yeah, bless NFGM.
Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Have a great afternoon, and yeah, thanks so much for being on this chat.